Picture this. You're a single guy. You walk into a room. You see somebody across the bar that seems like she's your type. What are you going to do? Are you going to walk up to her and start rattling off all of the qualities that you have that's going to make her hopefully like you? Or do you play it cool? You order a drink, you sit back, laugh with a few friends, hope to catch her eye, and eventually see if she approaches you first. That's the difference between sales and marketing. Welcome back. Marketing Made Easy for Small Business Owners. My name is Dan Sieg. I'm a 15-plus year veteran to the industry. Been doing a lot of different stuff for clients, a lot of different stuff for myself and friends. And my goal with this video, this podcast, this whole program is to help small business owners get to where they want to be with traditional marketing methods, adapted and evolved with today's market trends in the process. So thank you so much for listening. Today, we're going to talk about the difference between sales and marketing. And a lot of people think it's the same thing, but as my opening analogy clearly states, there's a big difference. Sales is walking up and pitching. Marketing is developing a strong brand message that's just lightly filtered all over the internet, lightly sprinkled, rather, all over the internet, where people are picking up on it, whether it be on your social media, your YouTube, just like what I'm doing right here, your website, your opt-in page, all of these different places. What are you saying in your marketing message that is ultimately going to help you close sales on the back end and make your life a lot easier instead of walking up to everybody and pitch slapping them upside the head and saying, "Look at me, I'm awesome. This is why you should buy from me." That is what everybody does. And if you're watching this, you don't want to be everybody. At least you shouldn't, or you shouldn't be watching this. I mean, think about it. Cold emails, cold DMs, door knocking, doing networking events where you're shaking hands, introducing yourself, putting on a fake smile, and trying to be somebody you're not. That is the sales process. It can work. It does work. And just like that woman in the bar from the analogy a moment ago, you approach 100 of those women and maybe one says yes. That's a 1% conversion rate and a 99% rejection rate. That's sales. We want to flip the script and get them to say yes as many times as possible and no as few times as possible. And we do that with marketing. Like I said, sales works, but it's an uphill battle. It's an uphill climb. You're constantly putting in the effort. You're constantly following up with people. You're interrupting their day. You're saying, "Hey, I have a solution for a problem that you haven't even thought about. Would you like to buy it from me?" Sometimes they do, but again, it's a numbers game. And that's what we're trying to do, is make them come to you instead of you always having to go to them. And let me tell you, from somebody who is in sales, I prefer the marketing all day long, because you need to make sales to make money. But if you do the marketing right on the front end, the sales happens on its own, dare I say, on autopilot. And as this episode goes on, I'm going to consistently refer to that opening analogy about the woman at the bar. And ultimately, it's like the guy walking up to her, and his opening line, instead of, "Hey, can I buy you a drink?" his opening line is, "I've got a great job. I'm super loyal. I'm emotionally available. What do you think? Would you like to go out with me?" That's his pitch. Just like a lot of people are pitching their services. That's his pitch. She probably thinks those are all great things, but she doesn't know him. She doesn't like him. She doesn't trust him. And as a result, she's immediately going to go into defense mode. That's what people do when they're being sold on something. And that's what this is. It is a sale of his character. She's immediately going to go into defense mode, and she's going to say, "You know what, dude? No, you're a stranger. I don't know you. I don't like you. I don't trust you." And she's going to reject him 99 times out of 100. And that's the whole point. We want to turn that around to where we get, for example, let's say that same guy, instead of walking up to her and saying, "Hey, would you like to be my girlfriend?" he says to her, "May I buy you a drink?" That's much less threatening. That's much less of a commitment. Instead of one time out of 100, she says yes, maybe 50 times out of 100, she says yes to getting a drink bought. Now he buys her a drink. He enjoys that drink with her. They share it. They have some laughs. They get to know each other a little bit. They build up a little bit of rapport. The nurture phase is what we call that in marketing. And they enjoy each other's company. Now the drink is over. Does he say, "Hey, now do you want to be my girlfriend?" No, that's just as ridiculous as if he had said it from the outset. Instead, he goes for another micro conversion. That's what the drink was, a micro conversion. He goes to the next one and he says, hey, I really enjoyed chatting with you. I really enjoyed talking with you. Would you mind if I got your phone number? I'd like to see you again. Again, not a big commitment, a micro conversion on the steps to the ultimate goal. And she says, you know what? Yeah, I did enjoy talking to you. Sure, here's my number. Boom. They text for a week. They maybe call each other a few times. They get to build some more rapport, some more liking, some more trusting. That all is building up towards the ultimate conversion. And eventually he says, hey, would you like to go on an actual date? They go to dinner, they share some more conversation, and maybe at the end of the dinner, he says, hey, I really like you. Would you like to be my girlfriend? Boom, he converted that stranger from the bar over a long, protracted period, and in this case, the sales cycle is 7 to 10 days. That is a typical sales cycle for a single guy who's doing the micro-step conversion process accordingly. Now, watch that again if you don't understand what I just said, because I say it really easy. I do it all the time. I understand it. I use my hands a lot. But what I'm saying is, watch it again and really internalize what I have just told you. And if you're a woman watching, you can at least understand the analogy, because you probably get hit on all the time when you're by yourself at the bar, okay? Understand that it's the same process for anything it is that you are selling. Okay, so that all said, how do we make a prospect come to you so you don't have to go to them? Great question. Marketing is about messaging. Little bit about branding, 10% branding, 90% messaging. It is what you say. It's how you're represented on the internet. At the end of the day, your social media is ultimately a tool that you use as what we call a digital asset to promote yourself and your messaging. So when you're talking in your reels, when you're talking in your content, your videos, whatever it might be on your website, in your headlines, in your copy, your messaging has to be congruent, because what it is doing is putting out your vibe. Okay, when I was a single man, I would go out to the bar, and my friends were always those dogs that would just go, I get 99 no's, no big deal. It's just that 1 out of 100 I'm looking for. That was their whole attitude. And that's them doing sales. That was their vibe. They didn't have the wit, the intellect, the marketing prowess to actually put together a conversion plan and make their little, love funnel, whatever you want to call it, all right? So they would do that. Meanwhile, I don't know if you see my dog over there. Scratchy, Ned? What's up? So they would do that. If you're listening to this on podcast, you didn't get to see my dog scratching himself in the background. So if you go check out my YouTube, you can see it. But whatever the case, I would go out to the bar. My friends would be those freaking, gorillas that would go and just aggressively talk to every woman possible, whereas I would confidently order a drink. I would hang out and just smile, have fun, enjoy the time out with my boys that weren't out dogging, right? I would just enjoy myself. And if I happened to see an attractive woman who was maybe my type on the other end of the room, I'd give her the old, a smile, a nod, a connection that you share. Because guess what? The women out there are looking around the room just as much as the single women are looking around the room just as much as the single guys are. And if you catch a single woman's attention and you put out that vibe, that confident, calm, authoritative, I know what's going on type of thing, guess what? That woman is more times than not going to approach you and say, hey, my name's Stephanie. You seem like a confident guy, or you seem like you're having a good time. What you drinking? She's going to approach you. Now, again, the vibe I put out, the confidence, the nod at her direction, that is what what you need to be putting out in your sales copy, on your website, in your content, so that people see it and they understand, they resonate with you and what it is you've got going on, so that they come to you. Because every single time you go to them, their defense goes up immediately, because they get sold all of the time. You could be walking through the Sahara Desert with a glass of water and run across somebody who hasn't drank in a whole day, and they're immediately going to be apprehensive because they know you're going to try to sell them that glass of water. They need it. but they don't want to be sold it. Even though they want it more than anything in the world, they immediately are going to be on the defense. They're probably going to buy it from you, most likely, but they will be on the defense, okay? Everybody being sold goes on the defense. They're coming to you. They want what you have, and that's the name of the game when it comes to marketing. Really what it comes down to is you're getting the sale at the end of the day. You're getting the ultimate conversion just at a much higher conversion rate, and you're sounding and seeming and coming off way less desperate. I'm not saying don't do cold calling. I'm not saying don't do door knocking. But if you only do that, you will be fighting an uphill battle for the rest of your business life. And it's exhausting. And we all know that. If you're watching this, I hope you're nodding your head right now and you're thinking, yeah, he's got a point. I hate doing this stuff. I know I do. Good story. My brother the other day, I've been running a funnel of leads that are paying me to come into my world. And they're watching a workshop that's me showing them how to do exactly what it is I do for them if they were to pay me. Now, my fiance was like, why would you give them all the secrets? They're just going to do it on their own. Good. I want them to see what it is I do for them, believe they can do it on their own because they can, but then eventually realize, this is a lot of work. This is a lot of time. I get it, but I don't have time to do it. This guy seems like he knows what he's doing. Let me hire him. So it's like this reverse psychology funnel. I sell them a front-end product for $8 that says, learn how to do what it is you need to do. They buy it. They come into my world. They pay me $8 to be a lead. They watch it, and then I get them on the phone and close them. All right? So I had that running for about 6 weeks, and I didn't have anybody calling them to set the calls. Right? They were just leads that were sitting there. I was hoping they would book through email, which some of them did, but not very many. I had like 40 leads that all paid me a bunch of money, or $8, sitting there that nobody had talked to yet. My brother says, why aren't you calling these leads? And I said, I've been waiting for you to do it. He's like, really? And I was like, yeah, I'm not a salesman. He needs to call those leads. He gets on the phone with them and says, hey, would you like to get on the phone with an expert that can talk to you about this stuff? The guy that hosted the workshop, he's selling them on that conversion. I don't like doing that. That's not my style. I'm a marketer, not a salesperson. If you're watching this, I assume that's what you want to be. Salespeople are great, but it's a different skill set. Can I be a salesperson? Sure. I have the skill set. I've done probably thousands of sales calls at this point. But what I'm getting at is I don't want to sell when I'm on the phone. If I do my marketing well enough, the person that gets on the phone is already ready to buy. He just has some questions about how it all works. So I'll answer your questions for you and take your credit card info, but I'm not going to sit there and be that desperate guy at the bar that tries to tell you how great I am and why you should go with me, because that's all but guaranteeing their defense goes up and they don't buy. So most business owners tend to go wrong in several different ways. Number one, they spend all of their time selling, like we've been talking about, because they've never built the system to attract someone. And if they haven't really ironed out their messaging and what they want to say about themselves. And it's not your fault, because it's so easily to get distracted by a new shiny object. All of the time, there's always something new out there, something exciting. There's other marketers pitching you on other things that you should be doing, so you're getting pulled in a bunch of different directions. If I can give you any actionable advice right now, it is to pick one route. They all lead to the same road. Pick one route and stay focused on that. And that route that I suggest is to hammer out your messaging. Who do you help and what do you help them avoid? Right? Who do you help? What do you help them avoid? And what do you help them get in the process? Okay? That's what your messaging needs to be. And you need to clearly identify that on your website and one social media platform. Okay? That's it. And then post a bunch of stuff on your Google if you're a service-based business owner. Another thing is the business owners do, they're constantly trying to follow up with these cold leads who didn't care in the first place. All right? If you got a lead, here goes Ned again. If you got a lead that wasn't really that interested to begin with, and you follow up with them 2, 3, 4 times, it's like the guy who goes to the bar and gets the girl's number who just gave it to him to get him to shut up, and he consistently calls her 2, 3, 4 times over the next couple of weeks until she blocks the number. That's what your leads are doing right now, because they don't know you, they don't like you, they don't trust you. That's the name of the game. So if you're getting follow-ups that just blow you off, you missed something along the way in the marketing process and you didn't properly convey your messaging. You can have the best messaging in the world, but if you don't convey it in a very concise and resonating way, it's going to fall flat. Okay? This is marketing. It's not rocket science. It's like brain surgery. It's really not. It's not hard. I've just done it a long time. I've done it in 17 years, give or take. Okay? And that's why I'm doing these podcasts, these episodes, to help you understand a little bit about how it all works. So if you're constantly chasing, constantly going after leads, your pipeline will always feel empty and your sales will always feel hard. People trust what they find and when they come to their own conclusion on something, not what they're being sold on. It can be the same product. They find it. If you ever, a good example is if you're in an argument with somebody or a debate, you kind of steer the conversation and ask them really pointed questions that helps paint themselves into a corner, or actually, well, now I'm going into online debates, political stuff. Let me back up. What you want to do is get that person. If you have an idea that you want that person to agree to, pepper your questions accordingly so that they come up with the idea on their own. Present it to you like it's their own idea, because it is, and you say, you know what, that sounds like a great idea. Yeah, where did you come up with that? Even though it was what you wanted, it was like their idea, and they get excited because it was theirs. That's sales. People trust what they can find. They repel what they're being sold on, even though it's the same product. Really hammer home that point. If you're always introducing yourself, if you're always the person going up to others and saying, my name is so-and-so from such and such company, nice to meet you, then you're not marketing. You're begging. You're hoping. You're trying too hard. Okay, so all that said, as we put a button on this little episode here, again, if you like this, guys, if you're still watching this, congrats. It means you're learning something. I'm literally presenting this for you to learn something. I'm not trying to sell you on anything. I want you to do better inside of your business so that someday you come to me, like my people on the sales calls, and say, hey, you seem like you know what you're doing. Can you help me scale this? That's my idea, like Alex Hormozi type stuff, all right, if you know who that is. But really what it comes down to is like, subscribe, all of that stuff, because I'm going to give you more of this. That's the whole idea. I've got like 14 subscribers on here. I'm no Mr. Beast. Fun fact, Mr. Beast lives about 3 miles away from where I am right now. I got a friend of mine who's doing some of his post-production stuff for Beast Games too. But pre-production stuff. But what I'm getting at is, what can you do now? I'm agitated the problem, but I just had a phone call. So if that glitched, that's why. So the point of the matter is, what can you do? Actionable advice. So far, I've agitated the problem. I've presented it to you. I've sold you on the fact that marketing is better than sales. Okay, even though they're kind of one and the same. But what can you do to start moving the needle? Number one, build assets that attract. Much like the guy at the bar who attracted the woman with his confidence and his demeanor and his smile and his laugh and his just overall vibe. That's what you need to do online. We build that through digital assets that attract. Number one, reviews. Number two, your local business listing. Content that positions yourself as an authority. And when I say content, I mean reels and posts and YouTube videos, whatever your one social media of choice is, content that builds authority in your particular niche or whatever people say. It makes you come off as helpful, not desperate. Give value. Just like I am to you right now. Give value to your prospects, and that will help attract them to you. And really, it's just having a clear message. I kind of touched on it a moment ago. It's 3 things you need to know. Well, 4, but we're only going to do 3 right now. I help an audience get a desire without a pain point. All right? I help local restaurant owners attract more diners without paid advertising. That's it. That's my whole marketing angle right now, that I put all my content out when I'm using my paid ads to bring them in, right? And my method of which I do that is by optimizing their Google business listing. That's the 4th one. So I help audience get desire without a pain point by a method. If you need any help with that, comment. Let me know who you're working with, what your business is, and I'll try to engage accordingly. So really, just letting your reputation precede the pitch. All right? If you have a reputation and it's a good one, guess what? Pitching becomes a thing of the past. You don't have to pitch anymore. People are going to ask you about what you've got going on. They're going to say things about what you've got going on because people are talking about it. Let your reputation precede the pitch. So, little final call to action, final thought here. Sales isn't bad. You do need to do it. Everybody, ABC, always be closing, always be selling, whatever it is. But if you lead with it, it's going to be an uphill battle literally every single time. Go ahead. Do it until you hit a certain number. I don't really care what way you go, but I'm telling you, from 17 years in the business, you want to do your marketing because sales becomes easy on the back end. The smartest businesses, they flip that script. They use their marketing to warm the room up before they ever walk into it. And when I say room, I mean bar, right? If you walk into that same bar, starting off at the beginning of this video, if you walk into that same bar and you already are known by people in there, what are your chances that you're going to meet somebody versus if you're a complete stranger? Let the room warm up before you walk into it. That's marketing. So on that note, I'm going to leave it to this question I want to leave you with is, what's easier to convert? A stranger you walk up to that you're chasing down or somebody who's already on their way to you? Decide what you're going to do with your business. This works all across all business. This works across relationships, as we've discussed in length and detail. It will especially work with your business. What vibe are you putting out? What messaging are people hearing? That is what we need to understand. Do that above all else, and your business will skyrocket. I literally guarantee it. If you like this, follow me on Threads. I don't really post that much on Instagram. I got a really mixed bag of audience on there. It's kind of all over the place, but my Threads is a good spot. You can check me out here on my YouTube. If you're listening to this on my podcast, check out my YouTube. If you're on my YouTube, check out my podcast, That Marketing Dan, across most social medias. And Marketing Made Easy for Small Business Owners is the podcast on your favorite platform. That's it. I don't like to do self-promo. It's weird. I'm a really good marketer for my clients, but for me personally, I got 14 subscribers, whatever. If I get to 20, it'll be a big milestone. But what I always say is I would rather have 20 of you guys watching this right now that are actively engaged in learning than, 5,000 random strangers that don't give a hell what I'm talking about. That's my personal preference. But I would love 5,000 people who do care what I'm talking about. And that's what we're building, slowly but surely. Rome wasn't built in a day. But then again, I wasn't there. We'll see you later.